Hello there everyone, welcome back to another video about a children's trading card game. One Piece content is back, baby, and I have got a lot I want to cover before or hopefully around the time of the release of set 1 in English, which is at the time of this recording is just under 2 weeks away, so I am very, very excited. I have been playing this game since it was getting spoiled back in Japanese, probably over 6 months ago now. It was a while ago. It was well over the summer. So I am excited to bring you my thoughts on the set 1 card list. So here, what I've got is I have got all of the red cards, and actually you should probably be able to see this slightly better. So if we just give this one of the older adjustments. And while I'm doing this, basically what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be going over every single card in the set 1 red card pool, and I'm going to be giving you my thoughts and my opinions. I will not be discussing the leaders in this series of videos because, as you can imagine, I'm going to be making videos for each one of the colors. I'll be doing a separate video discussing the leaders and ranking them in a tier list alongside all of the starter deck leaders, so you can get a rough idea. And I'm also planning on doing videos showing off like some good builds for like each leader when I actually get my cards in. So there's going to be a lot of One Piece content coming up over the next 2 months, basically. Like 6 weeks, 2 months, there's going to be a lot. So I hope you guys are excited for that. If you are, please do subscribe for all that content. But anyway, let's go ahead and get into it. And we're going to be starting off with Usopp. So Usopp is a 2k counter with an ability when your opponent activates an event. Honestly, this is not going to be going off very often in terms of that actual effect. You need to play it to the board. You need to be going up against an opponent. Now, granted, people will frequently be using events, but is it really worth committing the Don? And you're going to need to commit more than one Don for this guy to even do anything. And losing the 2k counter from your hand, which you could be using to block an attack. I don't think so. I think the biggest pro of this card is the fact that he is a 2k counter, and there are much better options for you. He is a Straw Hat, though, so that is worth considering, and so some people do play him, but I think there are better options for you. Next, we have got Uta. Uta is a 4-drop 4k with an on-play to bounce a red character, to return a red character other than Uta that costs 3 or less from your trash and add to your hand. This card has seen some play in lore builds, and that is probably the #1 place it's going to see play. Film is not really a thing that exists in set 1, and it doesn't really fit into any other decks. So this is a card that's a bit more mediocre. It doesn't see as much play. Next, we got Otama. This is an absolute MVP card from set 1. 2k counter, on play, give one of your opponent's characters minus 2k power during this turn. This card is the reason red does not auto lose to green because of Kid, because you can Otama, Jet Pistol combo. This is an absolute staple in red-green lore. Incredibly important card. Absolutely easy 4 of, does a lot. Synergizes very well with Nico Robin as well. Then we have got Caribou. This is a simple 1k counter with an on KO to KO one of your opponent's characters as well. The issue with on KOs is, of course, your opponent can play around them, and Dons get around this card as well, so if they just want to protect a card, all they need to do is commit that number of Don to it if they are going to play your Caribou. This card is not good. Cavendish. On play, you return a life to your hand to give this card Rush. This is an interesting card. It is definitely has strong potential to be very, very aggressive. However, depleting yourself of that life can also be a little bit rough. I will say, though, as the format evolves, you do see players basically realizing, oh, maybe I shouldn't be going face against rush decks to give them more cards to fuel their rushing. Maybe I should be instead trying to control their board. And when you start going against players who are actually doing that, Cavendish certainly starts to see potential use, because you can add those life cards to your hand in order to fuel your hand further and also gain additional aggression. The unfortunate part about Cavendish is he is strictly worse than a card we will come on to momentarily, and you will basically never be using Cavendish over Sanji, who we will be coming to in just a moment. Carrot, this is a bad card, you do not bother playing it. Komachio, a 1-drop 3k is the worst stat line in the game. Gordon, this is our first really spicy card that took a little while for people to start playing, but was really good when it did. So this is a 2k counter, 2-drop, so that's immediately should be going, oh, okay, interesting. With an on-play to place a card from your hand at the bottom of your deck and then draw a card, so this is going to let you filter. This card has seen some pretty reasonably large amount of play in lore decks. Why is that? Well, you can bounce it back to your hand so you can keep using it, so you can play him, get that ability to filter cards out of your hand to dig for your 6-drop lore, which is really 6-drop, 5-drop. I can't remember. 5-drop, the 6k lore, to dig for your blocker lore that bounces. So you can use your leader lore effect to then return this to your hand and play that lore because it's green. It works so well. It's a really nice little combo, and for that reason, this is very nice in lore decks. Outside of that, it's pretty anti-synergistic with a lot of stuff other decks want to do. It doesn't have a great stat line, and you don't have a way to just get it back very easily, so you are sacrificing a 2k counter for a not very powerful ability. So in lore, great. Outside of lore, not fantastic. Sai, this is a vanilla, does not see any play. Here is the Sanji I was talking about earlier. So this is a 2k counter, 2-drop, 3k. So, you know, same stat line as Usopp, but infinitely more useful. Because if you do actually play this card, so it's just as searchable as Usopp, but if you actually play it, you can take a life card, put it into your hand, then this card becomes a 2-drop 5k. Okay, so it's instantly hitting. And then, if you have spent any dons, if you've played any cards, you can get 2 of those rested dons and slap it onto this guy. Suddenly he's a 2/7, who is also letting you add life cards to your hand to potentially stop your opponent trying to constrict your number of cards per turn on life, build up a really massive board, build up nice blockers, and then just go in for the kill where you are not able to do anything. This is going to be a nice, really nice card in helping out those situations. Absolutely a staple card in Zoro decks. And you can see there's lots of variations of it. Then we've got Jinbei here. This is a 4-drop 5k with blocker and an on-block to play a red character card that costs 2 or less from your hand. This card is not fantastic. When you're playing a card without counter, it really needs to be doing something special, and this doesn't really do that. There are better options for you to be playing. Oh, God, trying to... Here we go. Tony Chopper. This is a 3-drop 1k with a when attacking to add Straw Hats that cost 4 or less from your trash to your hand. This is actually a decent card. It has seen a little bit of niche play, but generally these on-attack cards need to be very, very strong because it is possible for your opponent to remove it. Because of summoning sickness in this game, if I play my Tony Chopper and my opponent goes, you know what, I don't want you to have that, they can simply remove it through various different means if they really want me to have that. And on top of that, it's not doing anything crazy. It's certainly doing something nice, don't get me wrong. Getting cards back to your hand, very, very nice. And for a Don 1 that's putting up to a 5k, very reasonable. Not a bad card by any means, but often overshadowed by other options available, one of which you can see on the screen right now, and we will be coming to. Okay, next we have got Nami. This card is absolutely nuts. Instant 4 of in every deck that plays Straw Hats. That's all you need to know. Nico Robin. This card is phenomenal. So this is a 3-drop 4k. It has a counter, but obviously you put a dot on it to get the effect, and suddenly it's threatening 5, and you KO up to one of your opponent's characters with 3,000 power or less. Does not need to be rested, does not need to any of that. This is phenomenal at dealing with chump blockers and combos really well with cards like Otama or cards like Knights of the Round Table, which we'll talk about momentarily, which will let you remove much bigger threats. We got a vanilla 6k here, nothing special. Bartolomeo is a blocker with Don 2 to make it a 5k blocker for 2. Potentially useful, but not really anything special. I could see this card potentially being better if it was a 2k counter, so if we get a similar card that does that, maybe it'll be better, but I don't think this does enough to really justify seeing play. Hyogoro. So this has an activate main to rest this character and buff up a leader or one of your characters by 2k. This is a really interesting card. Combos very well in lore because you can rest this and then bounce it with that lore leader effect to be getting that nice power to your board. I think this is decent in lore decks. I believe it has seen some niche play, but isn't necessarily one of the instant go-to cards because there's a lot of competition in those decks. Frankie. This is the only card, I believe, that can attack active characters in the set 1 format. It ends up not being a super valuable thing to do because it's just not highly statted enough. Because you're giving up, not only are you giving up that ability, or the blocker for this stat line, but the ability, like, if it was a 5k, I'd be, if it was a 3-drop 5k, I think this probably would have seen play. But just being a little bit short really does suck. And then this is obviously the alt art version. Then we have got Brook. Now here's a card that has seen some play. 4-drop 5k with counter, so obviously really important to be having counter on a lot of these cards. Don 1 when attacking, give up to 2 of your opponent's characters a minus 2k power during this turn. This is phenomenally powerful, comboing with cards like Nico Robin. So the Brook Nico Robin combo, always very, very scary. Also letting you potentially attack into your opponent's big things. Brook was a very valuable card for a little while against things like Kid, but people moved away from Brook over time. Definitely not a bad inclusion, or I don't think anyone would really fault you for playing it, but I think it's a card that it's not powerful in and of itself, it just makes really good cards better. And for that reason, I think it does fall off a little bit, and you're probably not going to want to be playing it. Marco, vanilla, bad. Monkey D. Luffy. This is a really interesting card because it completely fell off and then it completely went back up again. So this is a your SR. This is a 2-drop 3k. When it has Don 2, can't be KO'd by battling strike active characters, but you basically get to give it 2 rested Dons for free, so it's just a 2-5. And it has counter. This is a card that people realised is quite good actually, but you do need to be selective when you play it because obviously it's very easy to remove if you're just going, oh, amigo, ooga, booga, face. That can kind of suck, and obviously it's exceptionally easy to clear through cards like Nico Robin, so you do need to be careful with it, but it is very high value. It is the most aggressively statted card in the game, pretty much, and it's definitely a good card. Ronar Zoro, I don't think I need to say too much about this guy. Absolutely one of the best cards in set 1. Pretty phenomenal. And actually, I think you'll notice as a general trend, if a card got an alt art in set 1, it is, I think, without exception, one of the best cards in the set. Like, it just seems to be that's what they've done. They figured it out. So there's your shortcut cheat code. If a card has an alt art, you probably want to be playing it. But yeah, Zoro is amazing. Then we've got Gum Gum Red Hawk. So this is one of the 2k counters to give 4k and then KO one of your opponent's characters with 4k power or less. This is a really good card. Obviously, you need to be able to play. You need to be working it in. But yes, this sees plenty of play. Very, very strong card. Round Table, this sees play pretty much exclusively to deal with Kid. If you just really want to ensure, generally at 1 to 2 copies, it is a Straw Hat Crew type card, which means you can add it with Nami. So you only need to play 1 or 2 copies and then just hold it in hand for when your opponent is going to be, has their Kid out, and then as long as you've got a Nico Robin or you've got a Gum Gum Red Hawk, bang, that's it. It may cost your entire turn, but the Kid is dealt with, and suddenly you can go for the kill because they just invested their entire turn into that Kid, and it maybe is not getting the return that they were expecting. Green Star Rafflesia, this card sees absolutely no play whatsoever, not very good. Radical Beam, this is a massively slept on card in Japan for a while. Finally, near the end of the format, got the respect it deserves, so you can... I would play this card. This is a 1-drop 2k, so totally normal. However, later on in the game, when you're on late life, which is realistically speaking when you actually want to be using a card like this, suddenly it's 4k for 1. Incredibly efficient, very, very powerful, absolutely a staple you should be playing. Then we got in 2 years to AiboYT. So this is like the Nami effect, but it only adds character cards. Yes, okay, it has a trigger effect, but you never want to be relying on trigger effects. Some decks play this. I really am not a fan at all. And finally, we come to the secret rare. Let's go with the manga version of Shanks. So this card is, it's kind of bad, honestly. Like, don't get me wrong, it has its place. Like, as a big dude that rushes, it's good. But I believe it's, pretty much exactly the same if you were to take the promo Luffy, which was, the 6-drop 7k, and you were just to put 3 Dons on that, you're actually getting the exact same stats as the Shanks, and you're not potentially risking not being able to play that earlier on in the game by needing to play the Shanks. And also, it's a lot cheaper than a fucking secret rare. I think this card is really just for collection, and if it was playable at all during set 1, in set 2, it is not. It is gone. I have not seen any decks playing it outside of memes, just because it's a fun card to play. It's always fun to slam down a really big dude and then go for game. It's not a bad card, but it's definitely not a good card. So don't run around like spending crazy money on this card. If you got it, cool, you can use it, but do not stress if you don't have it. And with that being said, that is my review of all of the Set 1 red cards. I hope you guys found this useful. If you did, please do like the video. If you think I got something wrong, please let me know in the comment section down below. Are there any cards I dropped on? Are there any cards I overrated? Let me know. If you also enjoyed this video and you like more One Piece content, as I said, please do subscribe for the channel for that. But if you're interested in Battle Spirits, Gate Ruler, and Lorcana, I make videos on those too, so please subscribe for that as well. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Cheers.